Hey everyone. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, after having read this chapter, I'm left feeling a little bit puzzled about where Oda is going with this exactly. Like, I okay, right out of the gate, I'll say the whole thing with the Buster Call, I saw that coming a mile away. Like, I didn't mention it because because I thought it was kind of obvious right from jump that when Jay Garcia and Kizaru arrived with all those battleships, I was like, okay, yeah, there's gonna be a Buster Call at some point, and to find out, yeah, a Buster Call is happening by the end of this chapter, it's like, yeah, yeah, I kind of saw it coming, like Vegapunk and Egghead Island are too much of an eyesore to the government for it not to happen. So yeah, ultimately that's the obvious part. I'm glad that I saw coming and there's follow through with that. But it's everything else in between that's a little bit that's the puzzling part to me, because okay, right from jump, the obvious thing is we pretty much see pretty much Kuma arrive on the scene and absolutely punch the shit out of Jay Garcia, which just fucking fantastic, and just, well, all the punches well fucking deserved. Like, man deserved everything he got in this chapter. But shortly after that, he pretty much like breaks down. So he pretty much breaks down, which it's kind of, if that's the fact, and then is rushed off to, I guess, get repaired or rebooted or whatnot. And this is the part where, for me, things get a little bit weird, because, okay, I had, maybe it'll still happen, but maybe just in a different way or something, I don't know, because, again, I think we all had kind of assumed that pretty much Kuma was the prime candidate who would basically who would kill, like, Jay Garcia. Like, we've all been thinking the same thing, which is that Jay Garcia is on the chopping block to die. And after that, after this chapter, like, I still do technically believe that. I'm just not sure, like, how Oda's gonna play it now, because with a Buster Call on the horizon and Kuma out of commission, it's like, what's going to be connecting the dots here? Like, is, like, how's this going to happen? Because the only thing the only thing that still makes sense to me is that somehow Kuma awakens, and what's going to ultimately end up with the added thing of a Buster Call now. The only thing that makes any sense to me is that Kuma somehow, like, gets rebooted in time in order to and when everyone is kind of making their preparations in order to escape off the island, what ends up happening is that Kuma ends up just pretty much dragging, just pretty much literally dragging Kuma down, like literally dragging Jay Garcia down with him. Like, ultimately what's going to end up happening is something is going to end up happening where Jay Garcia is immobilized and he can't escape off the island. Like, he's like, I think it's gonna be a thing basically where Jay Garcia is killed by the Buster Call while everyone escapes. Like, that's kind of the best case scenario of how I'm viewing this. I just don't. Again, it's just working out the connecting dots of what happens from now until then, and how it leads to that point. That's the part of it where I'm like, okay, who's going to be the one to kind of drag it down? Who's going to be the one to kind of, in order to make sure Jay Garcia stays, like, absolutely stays put, or is immobilized long enough for the Buster Call to kill him. Like, that's kind of my thought process. Like, that's just kind of where my mind's at. I'm like, is it gonna be still be Kuma, or is it gonna be someone else? Because let's get to the other thing with this chapter, which is that Oda is really doing some odd shit with Kizaru right now. Like, it seems like he's still kind of on his usual shit, but there's kind of also this air of like, is he, and is he slowly turning on Jay Garcia, or is Kizaru playing is Kizaru pretty much playing playing Saturn for a rube, or is he genuinely still on his side? Like, it's it's very weird. It's very weird as to the vibes I'm getting from Kizaru right now, because it's everything he's doing right now is basically, it's still pretty much in line with his role as an admiral is, but it's like, is he kind of maybe just putting up a front for right now? Like, I will admit, actually, if Kizaru is putting up a front, then I will admit, I think the man is probably the best one to do this, because he is the one who has like just the best poker face. Like, he can put up he can just pretty much put up any kind of like, he doesn't have any really changing. He can pretty much hide his emotions so well that I think it's impossible for even Jay Garcia to read him properly. So it's like, if the more I thought on it, like, if Kizaru is going to take a turn, and he's going to somehow prevent Saturn from, prevent Jay Garcia from leaving the island, then yeah, it's like the man is putting up enough of a convincing front, I think, to pull that off. But it's like, I don't know. I still don't know if I entirely trust if I entirely trust Kizaru just yet. Like, it's, again, I'm having, that's another thing, I'm having a hard time figuring out where Oda's where Kizaru is gonna land after all is said and done, because I'm seeing a little bit more potential there. I'm seeing more potential for him to possibly make a turn, but it's like, and possibly just let Jay Garcia die with the island. But I don't know. It's gonna, I don't know. It's again, it's a little bit up in the air for me right now. But and and yeah, I guess obviously the other thing to say too is that, yeah, even though it was short lived, I do like how ultimately there was still that like spark in Kuma to kind of, who was willing to protect, who was just willing to protect Bonnie. Like, Bonnie is the one thing. Like, it's like, as corny as it is kind of like it is kind of like, just pretty much like Vegapunk had told Jay Garcia, which is that it's you could say, I got no other explanation for it other than it's love. And I think more technically on it, honestly, is that I generally tend to think the reason as to why Kuma was able to do that, was able to gain control of his will of himself for just this brief amount of time, is kind of because of just full out the man's will is so strong it superseded the programming in some way. That's kind of how I see it. Like, there was a brief flash there where the reason why this all went down the way it did is because the man's will was just so strong. It's like, I have to protect the ones I care about. So Bonnie, yeah, it is kind of it's just kind of interesting in that regard. So yeah, it's like, if it's full on willpower, I can kind of, it's full on willpower breaking the machine. Like, yeah, I can kind of believe that, honestly. And yeah, yeah, I do like I do like how we kind of, I do like how we got to see like the Straw Hats do something, even if they kind of got knocked down. Like seeing Frankie kind of jump in in order to save Kuma. It's like, yeah, he's saying, yeah, he's, to him, to Kuma, to Frankie, I think he's the one who considers that they've got a debt to pay to Kuma the most. So it's like, yeah, everyone kind of jumped in, said, which I'll also say this much, we were so, there was a moment where I think we had a little bit of like a Sanji versus Kizaru fight, but it's like it wasn't there just yet. Like I think it's kind of cruel, like with the way it felt like Oda was teasing us with just the possibility of a fight, but it's like it didn't go all the way through, I guess you could say. And but yeah, guys, like I said, this is just kind of my rambly thoughts. My rambly thoughts of how things could possibly go down. I don't know. Like again, I might have an idea. There are ideas of how Oda could play this out. I'm just not entirely sure how it's ultimately going to go. I genuinely don't. But so just so this is a perfect time for me to say actually just completely share what you guys think of this chapter, of what you think of how you think this is going to play out from here, because one thing I didn't expect was for Kuma to get taken out so early into this equation, but it'll be interesting to see how Oda plays with the time a bit, because obviously this is a thing in Shonen as well, where it's like there's this time limit and that they have to kind of get off the island, and there's going to be just enough time. But yeah, I tend to think it might still be Kuma who ends up like who ends when the fire starts, when the cannonballs start flying on the island. I think it is still going to be Kuma who probably drags Jay Garcia down with the island. Honestly, like it's going to be Jay Garcia, Kuma, and the island just kind of burning to the ground after all is said and done, I think. But, yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got to say for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll, push the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Night signing off. Later, everyone.